It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 14 of Speak Now Pro Wrestling with myself, Denise Salcedo. And to be honest, guys, I don't even know how to really start today's show because, as you know, everything that's been going on, this has been a very difficult week. And after that tribute show that AEW just put on, I just got to start off by saying that all my respect to AEW for the show that they put on today, the tribute show that they did for Brodie Lee and his family, and everything that they did to his family was superb, was phenomenal. They went above and beyond, and there is nothing but respect there for what they did tonight. This was an incredible night. AEW Dynamite was probably 2 hours long. 2 hours long, obviously. And I got to say, it felt like a 40-minute show. When the main event was on, I didn't even realize the main event was on already. It was a very, very hard show to watch. I know a lot of us are feeling, emotionally drained. It was a mix of emotions where a lot of us are feeling, we're happy that we get to honor this man's life. But at the same time, we're heartbroken because, he's gone. And so this was a very bittersweet episode to watch. And I'm happy that I didn't put on my makeup before this show. Just a little light joke because it was just tears after tears for this show. So we will talk about everything that went down on AEW Dynamite. I do want to warn you guys all that I did not get to watch all of NXT. I decided to watch AEW by itself, not watching two shows at once like I normally do because it just didn't really feel like I wanted to do that. I just wanted to pay attention to Dynamite. And so I did that. I was able to watch about an hour and 20 minutes of NXT. However, I did not finish the rest of NXT. So today we will go over AEW Dynamite, and then afterwards I will recap the little that I did watch from NXT here today. But before we get started, I'll go ahead and start reading your guys' thoughts, and then we'll go ahead and break into AEW Dynamite, guys. So let's just go ahead and start off. How do you guys feel, man? Let's bring it out. Let's talk about how we felt about the show. Let's talk about whatever you guys want. I mean, as long as it's good and, it has to do with AEW, Brodie Lee, and all of that. Let's just go ahead and start about it because this, guys, I was really nervous for the show because I've never, so I'll start off with Beecher's. Beecher's Revenge says, that was one hell of a tribute. Rip Brodie. And we have the Keys Boo who says, I liked Dark Order going over in every match. And Antonio Garza says, I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay, I'm crying. I think a lot of us were definitely, guys, it was really hard today. That's for sure. Hodge Gulashi says, really in good mood for some Denise. Awesome vibes tonight. Yeah, this is going to be a different show, guys. You know that this show is usually very upbeat, very energetic. Just last week we were celebrating like something silly about, episode 13 doing, raffles and whatnot. So it is going to be a different show today because obviously a lot has happened since then. And Hodge Galassi says, you started the show perfect. Thank you so much. I don't think there's any other way to start it off. Gianmarco Credi says, hi, Denise. What a night. Zane Miller says, AEW was perfect tonight. Anthony K says, Tony Khan and the rest of the AEW crew were incredible people. S.A. Hansel says, wow, AEW was so good, an actually honorable show. It really was. If anybody has anything negative to say about this show, I'll just tell you right now, I will 100% disagree with you. There was absolutely nothing negative about this show. Everything that they did was It was incredible. It was above and beyond. T.A. Miller says, seeing John Silver break down was so moving. The red beard with the sign, man. The Keys Booth says, I lived through the Owen and Eddie tribute shows, and this was on that level. Butthole Weeb sent in a super chat. Butthole Weeb says, thank you, Brodie. Listen, I hate how far wrestling has fallen, but he was one of my favorites. Please put out a shout out for my man today. Thank you so much for sending this in. And yeah, it was, it's been really hard for like a lot of people, but at least we get to celebrate his life. And that is the pro in all of this. Fox Goulian says, this was the only wrestling show that I shed tears from start to finish. Simply incredible. And I'm so glad that AEW exists. I'm actually happy that you said that because I am happy that again, that they were able to put on a show that was dedicated to celebrating the life of Brodie Lee. The Bro Sidon says on the post show with Tony Schiavone, he said that they are retiring the current TNT championship and will be making a new one. That is indeed true. And we'll talk about the closing segment of AEW, but just for those of you who do not know, this is true. They are retiring the TNT championship, not the actual TNT championship name, but the belt. They will be redesigning a new belt, but the belt that they gave today to Brody Jr. will be staying with Brody Jr. as they named him the lifetime champion of the lifetime TNT champion, which was an incredible gesture on behalf of AEW. Devin Schultz says AEW knows how to hit the right buttons when the stakes are high. Tonight, and even the Stampede Stadium when the pandemic was starting, these are prime examples of how they can feel the fans' pulse. Sam says, love Britt Baker's shout out to Big Rig, aka Brodie Lee's Luke Harper. Matthew Makovsky says, how can I stay here? This fool just said, oh, wait, sorry. Oh, I didn't read this. He said, fool, just delete your mother. She's already gone. I love you right now, Denise. Oh, I have no idea what you're referring to, Matthew Makovsky, but thank you so much for sending this in. Whole Weeb says, AEW might be garbage, but Lord, I love this man. Also, everyone, shout out to your favorite anime. All right, guys, so let's not. Thank you for sending this in, but there is absolutely no negativity in this stream whatsoever here today, guys, because they did a phenomenal job. So once again, anything that is negative for tonight, just pass it away. I don't want to hear anything negative whatsoever. That's not what this night is about for today. AEW did a fantastic job, and I give them the utmost respect for what they did on tonight's show. Daniel Watches says, AEW handled the tribute show with such class. Beautiful show tonight. Made me feel like I knew Brodie myself. And that's the thing, too, is that, you know, with celebrity deaths, like, it's different because it's obviously not somebody that you personally know, but you don't have to personally know someone to feel a connection with them, as a fan, to just feel for their family, because I think right at the top of the show, it was something that definitely hit people. Jake WTW says, the show hit me even harder today as it is the anniversary of my best friend passing. I'm very sorry, Jake WTW, to hear that. And Melvin says, my eyes are literally swollen. Dude, I feel you. Hodge Galashi says, AEW handled tonight in such a perfect way, and cheers to you for putting on a show when it's not an easy time to do so. Thank you so much to Hodge Galashi. So let's go ahead and get into everything that happened today on AEW Dynamite. Again, just no negativity, man. We have a comment from Mark in Mad City who says, loved AEW tonight. Thanks for being you, Denise. Thank you so much to Mark in Mad City. I loved AEW tonight. It was fantastic. And we're going to kick it off. So the show for AEW opened tonight with a 10-bell salute. And this was very, very emotional right from the start, guys. The entire roster was out. Everybody. You had Tony Khan out. You had Kenny Omega. You had Cody. You had Miro. You had everyone, okay? You had Amanda, who was Jon Huber's wife, and Nolan, who's only 3 years old, was out there. Brody Jr., who was out there in, the Dark Order mask, wearing the suit. It was a hard visual, and it was probably one of the most powerful things that I have seen in wrestling, because just, that he was a family man. You know that, okay? We all know that. And we've all seen the pictures of him and his family, but seeing them on video in this live moment doing this 10-bell salute, that is a whole different visual right there, okay? And it really hits home because you're seeing these kids, you're seeing their ages, and you're just thinking like, man, we're all thinking about them, their family, how their future is going to be, what they must be feeling, etc. And then us, we all have family that we really love, and I'm sure a lot of us are thinking like, we never want to feel what they're feeling. And some of us have felt what they are feeling. So it's a very complicated situation. And we have a comment from Joseph Boza who says, this is one night where the entire wrestling community, fans, wrestler, and media members, no matter which side of the fence you were on, AEW or WWE, supported Amanda and the kids and say goodbye to Jon. Yeah, it doesn't matter what side you're on. Like, this trumps all of that, guys. It doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, this is life and death. This isn't, wrestling is way, way back there in this. Devin Schultz says, I somehow made it through the 10-bell salute, but as soon as Jon Moxley started crying, I started crying a lot. And then Corey Arthur Fox says, I think AEW showed what a promotion should be like, where you genuinely feel are all in this together and a family, able to put aside wrestling politics and just honor a great man. Yeah. Dagon, thank you so much for sending this in. He says, thanks for doing the show, Denise. I was processing all the emotions. What a wreck watching the show. Nothing but love for Brodie and his family. And yeah, seriously, guys, it was hard to watch. It was really, really hard to watch. But again, it was a powerful moment, a beautiful, heartbreaking moment. Then they went into the first testimonial of the night. So we had several testimonials throughout the entire night. We had one from Jon Moxley, who was actually the first person to do the testimonial. And he basically said he would never forget Brodie. After this, we had Darby Allin, who says that Brodie didn't have an ego, that he wanted to help everybody. He wanted to elevate each and every single wrestler. And Darby did say that he wished that he was one of the guys that he got to work with. We saw Dax Harwood. We saw Tony Schiavone, Colt Cabana, Bryce Remsburg, who is a referee who was very, very emotional. And I think when Bryce went on, I think that one really, really hit a lot of people. I know it hit me just because you can really feel the heartbreak and just everything he said. And I know he's been knowing Brodie Lee since his days of Chikara. So it was a very strong testimonial. After this, we had Eddie Kingston, who also did a testimonial. And man, I think everything that Eddie Kingston said was really, really on point. Like, he talks about, what it's like to be a man, what it's like to be an honorable man and an honorable father. He talks about how Brodie always believed in him, tells his kids that their father will never be gone because their father was a warrior. And everything that Eddie Kingston said, I thought was absolutely on point. I don't think anybody could have said it better. Then we also had a testimonial from Chris Jericho, who basically said he got to work with him 27 times and shared a story from them on the road and just, some funny stories. So honestly, it was a really, really nice thing that they did, was adding those testimonials as well. And so how did you guys all feel about this? Go ahead and send in any thoughts that you guys might have. We have a comment from Saru Mike, who says, a very special night for a very special man. Moments like these show what wrestling is all about. It really does. And it's sad that, we had such a great show, but it's sad because we know why we had this great show. The Keys Boo says Eddie Kingston is a badass, and the Keys Boo also says that he loves Eddie's smile as well. Yeah, honestly, it was really, really good stuff. So after this, so I mentioned the testimonials. Those testimonials were spread out through the entire show, but I kind of wanted to get them all in one section to kind of talk about them. Oh, okay. Thank you so much to Redmond Survivor. He actually brings up something that I didn't know. He said there are some additional testimonials on the AEW YouTube page. Okay, that's good to know. So if you haven't seen them or you didn't know, there is additional testimonials on the AEW YouTube page. And I'm sure there is, because I'm sure they talk to everybody, because everybody, like, whether or not you were close to him, I'm sure they had something they wanted to say. So that's really nice that they actually did that. We have a comment from Bloody Blues who says, Denise, thank you for being you. It's very much appreciated. And with Brodie's passing, I think we should let people know how much they are loved as long as we have the chance. Yes, guys, it's very hard to tell people that you love. It really depends on, who you are, what your character is. I know I'm a very shy, awkward person when it comes to telling people, hey, I love you, man, or whatever it is. But you really should try to strip that away and really, open up and tell the people that you care about them. I 100% agree. And Dominican Cano Locos 444 asks, is the TNT Championship retired? It is not. So they did announce that they are retiring the design of the belt, but they will be creating a new belt. And from my understanding, I think it is also going to be inspired by Brodie Lee, the new design. I'm not too sure on that, but we'll find out afterwards. But they definitely did say that they will be bringing in a new bout. So the opening match for the show was Matt Hardy, Private Party versus Young Bucks and Colt Cabana. Once again, as you guys all know, Tony Khan changed the entire card. This was not the card that we were supposed to have this week, so they did obviously change the card. We also had Chris Jericho on commentary for today's show, and I gotta say, I liked how they segued into this match from the 10-belt salute to the Jon Moxley testimonial and right into this match. And what I liked about this one is that it was just straightforward, so much energy from all of these guys, Young Bucks, Cabana, Matt Hardy, Private Party. Like they were wrestling because they knew that, they wanted to really put on a great performance for Brodie Lee in honor of Brodie Lee. And you could really tell that in this match, just so much energy. I mean, the Bucks were flying everywhere, all sorts of directions. Same things with Private Party. And in the end, we did have Young Bucks and Cabana win, which is obviously, the best way to kind of go about it. So really good start off for that as well. And we have a comment from Medicine Man who says, "All elite is all class. Thanks to everyone for a wonderful celebration of life." And Jivo Sarisa says, "I haven't been this proud of wrestling community for a very long time." Yeah, I think a lot of people definitely, and it's crazy too, because I was just thinking about this right before going on live that, we've all seen the videos, we've seen the tributes, we just saw the tribute show, we've seen memories from people, pictures, etc., videos, stories. And it's so weird though, because even with all of that, it still doesn't feel real. And I don't know if you guys feel that way, but it just still doesn't feel real to me. Like I understand it. I think I've processed it, but it just still doesn't feel real. And I think that's how it feels when people die. And you're just like, how on earth? Like, it doesn't make sense. And Dagon as Broad says, "Was great to see all of the Dark Order members go over in their respective matches. I'm so happy they did that." Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was really great. The second match of the night was a 6-man tag. It was Dark Order, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Lance Archer, which Lance Archer did come out dressed, inspired by Luke Harper in WWE. So that was a really nice touch versus Eddie Kingston and the Butcher and the Blade. And when Eddie Kingston came out, he did his promo as he was coming out, and he basically said that the Dark Order is nothing without him. This was a really powerful moment as well. It was brief, but I think you really felt that from Eddie Kingston here. Like you could really feel that he was really sending off this message directly to Brodie. And I also like that on commentary for this match, Chris Jericho pointed out that like Eddie Guerrero and like Owen, who also passed away, that there was so much about them being said, about them being family man, and so much good stuff being said about them. And that was something similar to Brodie Lee's character, that everybody had something good to say about him. Everybody had to say that he was such a strong, that he was a family man, essentially. After this, during the match, we did see some pretty cool spots between Eddie and Evil Uno when they were doing the back and forth slapping. I thought that was pretty fun. And in the end, we did see Stu, Evil, and Archer get the win. And I do have to point out that although everyone did a fantastic job on this, I got to say that Stu Grayson, oh man, like he really shined in this match. I thought he did a phenomenal job here. After the match, we did see Jake the Snake take out Eddie Kingston, and that's how that match ended. We do have a chat here from Mason Goldberg, who says, "This was truly a heartbreaking and heartwarming experience. Love and appreciation shows no boundaries. Rip Brodie Lee." It really does. And I think the fact that how many people have, shared their stories on social media and how many people have been impacted by Brodie Lee's death, I think it just goes to show you like how much respect he had from so many different people. So yeah, thank you so much to Mason Goldberg for sending this in. Morningstar says, "Lance Archer dressed like Luke Harper made me pop." Yeah, I love the fact that everybody sort of did something different to like honor him in their own way. Like that to me is really cool because it's something that everybody thinks up on their own and comes up with a special way to honor somebody. And I really think that is the best way to honor somebody, is by coming up with something that you feel is the best way to honor someone. Big Chunga says, "Brodie Lee helped Dark Order, who ended 2019 on the worst reception ever, to the best act of AEW. Shows how great of a man he is." I mean, I don't know if we've said this enough on this show. Well, we haven't really, because I haven't been on here since the news broke. And that's the thing, is that really, truly, Brodie Lee was having the run of his life on AEW. And I think that's also what's very heartbreaking to people, is that even though in the short amount of time that he was in AEW, he did get to do so much, like you just mentioned, really turned over the Dark Order, became champion, had all of this great, this great feuds like with Cody Rhodes, etc. And but at the same time, you just know that there was more, and you knew that he was going to bring the full potential. And I think people were really, really excited to see what he was going to do in AEW. And that's what's also really heartbreaking, because you're like, man, like this guy was just getting like the opportunity to really, really shine bright on his own. So I think that's another part of the hard part. The Throwback Collector says, really enjoyed reading all of Brodie's testimonials, from a Starbucks barista to backstage folks and the locker room. This proves his legacy is and will be forever positively remembered. Rip Brodie. And we have a comment from Forsaken Productions. It says, Tony Khan just posted on Twitter he bought the rights to the song in the final tribute video in perpetuity, so the video will never have to change. Okay, thank you so much for letting me know, because as I'm doing the show, I'm not reading what's going on Twitter, so I appreciate you letting me know on that. And we do have a comment from Dick in a Box that said, Stu Grayson is mad underrated. Dude, Stu Grayson was a real standout for me tonight. Devin Schultz says, the Dark Order was emerging as fan favorites anyway, but there is no way the stable can be a heel stable now. Turn them full face and let them become megastars, just like Brodie Lee was becoming. I'm very interested to see how they're going to move forward with the Dark Order. It's going to be, I'm thinking creatively, it's going to be somewhat of a challenge. I don't know what they're going to do, because I think no matter what they're going to do, people are going to be like, oh, they should have done this or they should have done that. So I am interested to see how they're going to move forward with the Dark Order. Brian Skate says, shout out to Tony Khan for everything he did for Huber and his family tonight. Dude, for reals, like honestly, mad respect to AEW and Tony Khan. And I'll probably say that a few more times on this stream, but it was one of the best tribute shows that I have ever seen. And it was just because they did so much. And I think that they brought a lot of as much happiness as you can bring to a family that's grieving, I think. All right, so after this match, we also had probably my favorite segment of the night, and this was the third match of the card, which was John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Hangman Page versus Santana, Ortiz, and MJF. This is where we had so much go down here. So let's start off by talking about the fact that John Silver came out with Brodie Lee's gear. This was fantastic. I mean, we already know that John Silver was sort of going under the wing of Brodie Lee, and, you know, they had developed a friendship, a bond, a relationship. So to sort of see John Silver tonight, especially after the match, I think was very heartbreaking as well. But it was really nice that he came out and that he honored his friend. So another really fun spot. So as you guys remember, you know, from being the Elite, is the spot where Jon Huber or Brodie Lee, he would bring out he would open up his coat, he would open up his jacket and pull out the papers, and he would just smack whoever he was like smacking. He would smack John Silver so many times in the head. And we've all seen the video footage and all of that, the compilation, the montage, all of that. And then they did this spot, both John Silver and Alex Reynolds. This was such a good spot, and I'm so happy that they did it, because I think a lot of fans were like, oh, like that's so funny. And a lot of the things that people were saying about Jon Huber was that he had a really good sense of humor. So obviously, you know that I think this segment, out of all the segments from tonight, really honored Jon Huber's sense of humor, especially when we had that paper spot as well. Dagon S. Broad says, what a massive pop for the paper spot. Completely agree. Jake Larson says, the most important thing of the night was that giant smile on Brody Jr.'s face after that kendo stick shot. We will talk about that. Redmond Survivor says, the end of this match was when I finally broke into full tears. Brody Jr. hitting MJF, Rowan's message, Silver crying. I mean, it was just so much. Jeanette Latori says, I've never cried and laughed at the same time before until I saw this. So let's talk about what happened after this. So, you know, we mentioned that John Silver came out in his gear. They did the paper spot. And then I do have to make a separate note of MJF coming out dressing like Santana and Ortiz. That was pretty funny. And I thought that even though it was unrelated to the events from tonight, I thought that it was a nice touch. Again, something that I think Brodie would have liked. So during this match, we do see MJF getting into Brody Jr.'s face, and he starts telling him who knows what, starts getting in his face, yelling at him. And, you know, Brodie was there on ringside, obviously watching the show. And this was a funny and unexpected moment. I didn't think that they were going to do anything like this, but I'm really sure that Brodie would have loved this because it's wrestling and this is like the world that he brought his son up in. So I thought that this was a really fun spot, and from that moment on you knew that Brodie Jr. was going to have to get his revenge on MJF, and MJF is also the perfect guy to do something like this with. So after this, we did see, during this match, we did see John Silver do a really cool modified destroyer, which I thought was pretty cool, so I gotta mention that. But towards the end of this match, we did have Wardlow do a lariat in honor of Brodie. He did it to Silver. And then afterwards, guys, we had Eric Rowan come out. So Eric Rowan came out after Wardlow came out. And Rowan came out. As you guys all know, Rowan is Brodie's former partner. And he came out, attacked Wardlow, and that was great. But then afterwards, MJF went to ringside and basically got back into Brodie Jr.'s face, took off his mask. And that is essentially when he made Brodie Jr. super mad. He comes out with the kendo stick and just smacks MJF in the head with it. God, guys, this was such an awesome moment. I gotta say, best moment of 2020 was Brodie Jr. smacking MJF on the head with that kendo stick. He was so happy. And you can't put a price on a moment like that. You cannot put a price on it whatsoever. Like the happiness that he felt in that moment, that you can tell that he felt, was priceless, guys. You really can't put a money on that. You just can't. This was fantastic. I loved this so much. It was my favorite part of the entire show because for one moment, however long that moment was, it brought happiness to this child's life. And I love that so much. After the match, we did see Dark Order and Rowan all hug in the middle of the ring. Silver broke down crying. This was very hard to watch. And then afterwards, Rowan held up a sign that said, "Goodbye for now, my brother. See you down the road." Again, this was my favorite part of the entire show. So what did you guys all think of it? I loved it. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. So Anthony E., thank you so much for bringing this up. I was going to talk about this, and I might as well talk about it now. He says, Brodie Lee t-shirt set the record on Pro Wrestling Tees for the most sold within 24 hours. Previously held by Sting, all proceeds go to the Huber family. Yes. So I saw that on Twitter, and I'm so happy, guys. If you haven't yet, head on over. I think they're also doing AEW Shop. So this includes AEW Shop and Pro Wrestling Tees. If you buy, whether it's the shirt, the memorial shirt, or whether you buy any of the merchandise for Brodie Lee, the proceeds of all of that is going to the Huber family. So that is such an awesome thing. And I think also CM Punk also said that he's giving all of his money from his store to the Huber family too. And I know there are a couple of people too. I think Mick Foley is probably one of them as well, who's also doing that. So there's a lot of people and a lot of ways that people are finding to give back to the Huber family. So if you haven't yet, make your way over to Pro Wrestling Tees, get your t-shirt. It's a really awesome t-shirt too. If you haven't seen it, it's really awesome. Zane Miller says, best segment of the year, Silver, Hangman, MJF spot with the kendo stick, Redbeard's return, cried. Michael Hyman says, Brodie Jr. will someday know how much he helped the wrestling community tonight with his smile and hitting MJF with the kendo stick. MJF is a great heel. He really is a great heel, honestly. And it was awesome. You know that he loves the kid. And again, like, MJF is the perfect person to do something like this with. And oh my God, I could only imagine how exciting it was for Brodie Jr. to just give somebody a shot with the kendo stick, dude. Like, come on, like, think about it. How many of us here watching, this show right now wouldn't absolutely mark out to hit somebody in the head with a kendo stick? I know I would. Call me a fool. I don't care. I would love to do that. So imagine, an 8-year-old kid getting to do this and getting to do it on live television. That's awesome. Joel Roman says, the paper spot was a great pop. MJF getting what was coming to him. -1 was negative. Perfect match with little nuggets along the way. Showtime 209 says, I wish AEW would have gave Brodie Lee a legit world title push, not let him get jobbed to Cody Rhodes. Well, they were getting there. You got to build to it. And I think what he did get to do in AEW was actually pretty phenomenal. Pingus Tyrod Problem says, The men and women who worked tonight were incredibly brave and talented to still be able to work fluently under such circumstances. Yeah, I don't know how they did it. Like, to go out there and have to have a match when you're like feeling all of these emotions. Like, seriously, it's a big testament to them. Redmond Survivor says it was cool that there was still some little story developments like that with MJF. I completely agree. Dagon says Brody Jr. is going to be a massive star. Can't wait for Brody Jr. versus MJF for the AEW title in 2030. Seriously, right? S.A. Hansel says MJF did a great job putting over his son. I agree. And you just know that Brody was somewhere, just like laughing at that. I'm sure he loved it as well. And okay, thank you. Tano also said that Mick Foley said the same thing for his January proceeding. So like any merch that you buy from Mick Foley's store will also be going to the Huber family as well. So thank you so much to Noel and Anthony, who also filled me in on that. Pam K4 says, I never cried so much watching wrestling than I did tonight. Rufin Fury says, I had tears in my eyes for Eric Rowan. LMAO, who would have thought? It was definitely a hard night. And Tanel says, MJF staying in character of the show, said F that kid on Twitter. I saw that. I did see that. And I'm sure some people probably took it seriously, because there is those people that, can't separate, storyline and real life. He doesn't mean that. So I do think that, I hope that some people see that he doesn't really mean that, guys. But yeah. Joz Razuka says, I cried like a baby tonight, and I'm not ashamed of it. Beautiful and heartbreaking. Rest in power. Thanks for the show, Denise. Honestly, I think we all cried today. Like, if you didn't cry today, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, it was just such a hard night today. King Potato says, I haven't cried for someone dying in pro wrestling since I was a kid. When Eddie died, beautiful show for such a wonderful person. Rest in power, exalted one. Yeah, I mean, I was a kid when, Chris Benoit died. And at that time, I still didn't know the details surrounding his death. But I cried a lot during that tribute show. And I cried a lot during the Eddie Guerrero one as well. And those were when I was a kid. So seeing that, and it was hard, it was really hard. So it's just doesn't matter if you don't know the person, personally, you still feel that connection. You're still sad and you feel bad because it's still, it's still life, even if you don't know that person personally, James Conklin says, yes, and you know what the video package showed WWE and other wrestling factions? Never seen that before. Yeah, it was really nice to see all the photos and everything that they put in that video package. Anthony E says, great Jon Moxley quote from tonight. Wrestling is not just a sport, it's a community. I think so too. I completely think so too. So after this, we also had a women's match. It was Penelope Ford teaming up with Britt Baker versus Anna Jay and Tay Conti. And we did have Anna Jay and Tay Conti win. There was a lot of emotion from Anna, obviously, which makes sense. This was a nice match. Post-match, we did see Britt Baker interviewed by Tony Schiavone, in which she said that the match was rigged, and then she called it a big rig, which was a nod to Brodie Lee's character. And Thunder Rosa attacked her from behind afterwards. So this was a pretty good, solid segment as well. After this, we went into Team Taz, which was Cage, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Starks versus Cody, Orange Cassidy, and number 10. And at this point, I couldn't believe that we were even at the main event of the show already. I mean, this show completely flew by. It felt so fast. It did not feel like 2 hours already. When they said that this was the main event, I was like, what? It's the main event already? I didn't respond as quickly as I probably should have. But some moments from this match included Orange Cassidy giving Brody Jr. a little fist bump. It was a really cute little fist bump. He just kind of barely put his knuckles in there. A really, really cute moment. Ricky Starks and Cody kicked off the match. I loved it. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought that Ricky Starks looked absolutely great in this match, by the way, just to point that out. I mean, the guy was showing so much athletic ability in this. I loved it. During this match, we also saw Arn Anderson and Taz both have chairs up, and they were taunting each other outside of the ring. And we did have Cody, Orange Cassidy, and number 10 win this match. So they definitely win a full streak with all, Dark Order members winning. Post-match, we had a lot go down in the post-match of this. So post-match, we had Team Taz attacking attacking Cody, Orange Cassidy, and Dark Order number 10. And then the lights went down and Darby's music hit. And then Darby comes out from like a door by like the seat area. He comes out and he has his face paint like he normally does, except that he has the words Brodie written all over his face, which I thought was a really, really cool tribute. It looked pretty cool. I loved this. And then after that, the lights go down again. The lights go down again after Darby comes out, and then bam, we have Sting's music play, and he comes out from the exact same door that Darby Allin came out of. So then afterwards, we had a stare down between Sting, Darby, Cody, Dark Order number 10, and Orange Cassidy, all staring down Team Taz. So this was a really cool way to, keep moving forward your storylines on AEW Dynamite, but also honoring Brodie Lee. So they found a really nice balance between all of that. So what did you all think of this? So we have a comment from King Potato who says, Ricky Starks is big money. When Jericho and JR said he reminded them of Young Rock, they hit the nail on the head. Dude, Ricky Starks, I mean, he's one of those guys that I can't wait to see what he does on AEW. Like, I'm a fan of Ricky Starks, and he has so much charisma and so much personality. So it's just kind of going to keep going. And our Rig says, Anna is still green, but she is doing outstanding for her experience, and watching her cry in the ring hit me. Yeah, I completely, anybody that you saw today just get emotional. It was hard not to get emotional because we were all feeling it. Tanel says, I hope AEW creates a Humanitarian of the Year award and names it after Brodie Lee. That would be nice. Yeah, that would be really cool. I think that's a great idea. And we also have a comment from Brandon Charles Powell who says, when you enjoy a show so much, it really does fly by. Dude, it flew by. And we have a chat from Darren LMN who says, Denise, what was your favorite match tonight? What was your favorite pre-recorded tribute? Are you excited for Darby and Sting Angle? Doing great. Thank you so much, Darren, for sending this in. So to answer your question, my favorite match of the night was definitely the MJF, Santana, and Ortiz, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Hangman Page match. I thought it was the best match, and I also thought that it included the best segment. And my favorite pre-recorded tribute was, I think a tribute, it's hard to say which one's your favorite because they all said such wonderful things, but I think the ones that really got me were definitely the Eddie Kingston one and the Bryce Remsburg one. I think those were the ones that got me the most, but I wouldn't necessarily say like, this one's my favorite because they all did something special. And am I excited for Darby and Sting Angle? I'm definitely excited. I think that where they're going with this, and now that we know that Darby and Sting are officially an alliance, they're officially allies, because even though there was huge speculation of that, we didn't really know for sure. And now we officially got hey, they are for sure on the same exact team. So I like this. I like where they're going. Darren, thank you so much for sending this in. Joel Roman says Darby and Sting get closer with each episode. Interesting where they take their alliance and storyline too. Classic Rozzy says Eddie Kingston made me cry so much. Pro Wrestling TV says someone just said that they were brave to be able to perform tonight. Oh my God. Oh wait. Oh, that's not a nice comment. Sorry, Pro Wrestling. Guys, it is brave to go out there and wrestle when you are, it's hard to go out there when you're feeling different types of emotions. Like, honestly, I've never done it. I don't think it's something that I could possibly do. Even coming on here and doing this show, I was so nervous because I mentioned this at the top of the stream. I've never been a host or an on-air personality or someone covering wrestling when there was a death like this. Never. This is my first big moment, talking about this. So, and I was very nervous. And even, at the top of the show, I was trying not to get emotional and talking about the 10 bell salute. And, I could hear my voice cracking and I was like, oh no, I got to get together because I'm doing a show. And it is hard because you got to compose yourself. At the end of the day, you're an on-air talent. You're putting out a performance, and this would be considered my performance. So it is hard to go out there when you're necessarily not tip-top shape. So I completely think that, as a performer, as a wrestler, going out there, I mean, look at John Silver. The second that match ended, he was, down on the mat, crying. In the main event, we had the referee, who was crying as well, and Cody gave him a hug right before. Dude, like, when you lose someone, it's not like you can just go and do your everyday job normally like you would. Like, this is life and death. Like, it's not just, oh, hey, no, like, this is not easy for people, and it's just not. Darren LM says, Miro, Colt, Silver, and Brodie Jr. made me cry tonight. Thank you so much for sending this in, by the way. And yes, a lot of tears today, for sure. Bruno Calvajo says, this year has been really hard on the pro wrestling community. We got used to wrestlers passing of old age. Hana Kimura and Brodie Lee's passing hit me really hard for different reasons. Yeah, I agree with you. And same thing with Shad Gaspard. Like, it's one of those things where you're just like, death is always sad. But when it's somebody that was young, it's like, no, like, this isn't right. This isn't right. Especially someone that leaves behind a wife and children. It doesn't make sense. Like, things don't always make sense. And this was definitely not something that made sense. And yeah, Anthony E also says Hana Kimura was really, really tough. It was really tough for so many people. Logan Rob Hoso says, props to AEW and everyone involved in this tribute show. They did such an amazing job. Plus, seeing the smile on Brodie Lee Jr.'s face brought me tears to my eyes. The ending segment with him made me cry. Now that you mentioned that, let's go ahead and jump into the ending segment of this. So we did have which was interesting because for a second after that face-off that I was telling you guys about for the previous match with Sting and Cody and Team Taz and all of that, for a second I thought that was it. Like, I thought that was the end of the show, but it wasn't, obviously, because they did have the tribute to Brodie. And this was something that at this point of the show, I thought, okay, I'm done crying. I'm okay now. But then this just brought it back like a wave, like a tidal wave, a tsunami of tears, man. So they did have the Brody tribute at the end of the show, and Cody is in the ring, and he does a quote from Samuel Johnson, and he talks about, judging a man's character by how he can treat somebody who's no good to him. And he goes on to talk about the stories of the people who were positively affected in their lives by Brodie Lee. After this, he gets very emotional as well. And there you go. We're talking about people, doing their job, but also getting emotional because it's something that you can't fight. A perfect example of this was Cody when he was having to, segue into introducing the family. He, calls him a beautiful man and that he's leaving behind a beautiful legacy, and introduces -1, which is Brodie Lee Jr. And afterwards, so Brodie Lee Jr. gets his entrance, and he comes out holding hands with his mom, Amanda, and Amanda's holding Jon Huber's boots, which was very, very the boots really hit me hard. It was a symbol of a man's life and a man's career. And that was a very touching part of it as well. And he comes along with Dark Order number 10, and Tony Khan are also coming down with Amanda and with Brodie Jr. And after this, they basically put the boots that Amanda had in the center of the ring, and Cody put the purple handkerchief on top of the boots. And then Tony Khan basically tells Brodie Lee Jr. that he is giving him the TNT championship, and that he will be the TNT champion for life. And later on and then they played a tribute video with, a bunch of his memories and photos and all of that. So this was just completely and utterly beautifully done. Everything top to bottom, guys, top to bottom. I can't say one single, and I don't think anyone can say one single negative thing about this, because they did a phenomenal job, and that's point blank what they did. And so we talked about this at the top of the stream. They are going to go ahead and actually do a new belt. So you will be seeing a new belt. We don't know when, but they will be seeing a new TNT championship belt. So that has already been said, but that belt is definitely staying with Brodie Lee Jr. So, okay, we have plenty of stuff to talk about here. Let's see, guys, send in your comments. CJ Thompson says, I lost it early when I saw John Silver sneak on stage late for the first match with everyone. And Darren LM says they definitely drew over 1 million people tonight. I was just talking about that prior to going on live. I was thinking I would not be surprised if they hit that 1 million mark for the ratings. And obviously it doesn't matter about ratings, but I just don't know how anyone was not tuning into the show. If you are part of the wrestling community, whether you were a fan of Jon Huber's work in WWE, or here in AEW, I just can't imagine you not tuning into the show because it's something so powerful. So yeah, I won't be surprised if they definitely hit that 1 million mark. B.A. Charles says it's kind of the same for both for me. They were both to turn a huge corner in their careers, and it's so tragic that they got cut short. Why is this something says, it was nice seeing how well they treated the Huber family, especially Brody Jr. Apparently, he was playing video games with some others in the back after the show. Yeah, I know that Tony Schiavone said on the What Happened After podcast, he did say that he is very close to the entire roster, that when they would film shows that he always wanted to stay longer, and therefore, Amanda had to stay longer because Brody Jr. wanted to stay longer and hang out. And so he really painted a nice visual of the relationship with the AEW talent and Brody Jr. And Pro Wrestling TV says the Brody tribute to close the show was a very nice touch. Bravo, AEW. Yeah, completely agree. It was a very, very nice touch. Josh Razukas has a question. He says, do you think Dark Order disbands or maybe Hangman leads it in his honor? I'll just be real with you guys right now. I haven't really thought about the storyline aspect of the Dark Order and where they're going to go from this. If they're going to, have a new, have Hangman Page take over. I haven't really put that much thought into it. I think it hasn't even been something that I haven't really thought about. I'm open to whatever that they're going to do with the Dark Order because, like I said, this is going to be something definitely. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. That's for sure. And EJ Lopez says, I say heel Matt Hardy takes the lead of Dark Order going forward. Again, I think whatever they're going to do with Dark Order, I'm going to like it, guys, because it's a tough situation to be in. It really is. Morningstar has a great point. Dark Order has to continue for Mr. Brodie Lee. It definitely does. I don't think I would necessarily want them to disband it because I do think that it should continue on for Brodie. Zane Miller says the ending segment was the toughest of the night. What a special class from AEW. Can't say enough things. And then I lost my comment. No. All right, there it is. Okay. Dugan says, Denise, you're going to get me crying again talking about the end tribute. And Darren says the boots killed me. Guys, the boots was, I don't think I could put into words how something can actually mean so much. And those boots, like I said, they really symbolize not just that he was a wrestler, but that he was a human, and he's gone now. And like the boots, it was very hard. Yeah, it was hard to see. Mike M says, beautiful tribute tonight. Mikey says the ending segment hit me hard. And Manuel Toledo Campos says, Tony Khan said on Twitter almost 30 minutes ago that he bought the rights to the Tom Waits song used in the video package in perpetuity so that the tribute will last for everything. Everything so classy. And I'm glad that they thought about that because how many people would have thought about that? I don't know if that's something that many people would have thought about. Lightning Against Fear says Tony Khan is awesome for what he did. I agree. I completely agree on that one. Devin Schultz says, previously the most drained I've ever been after watching a show in my entire life was when Omega beat Okada for the IWGP heavyweight title. I think tonight was way more draining. It really was. Like I told you guys, I got to watch probably about an hour and 20 minutes of NXT. And the only reason why I got so much done was because I fast forwarded through all the commercials. And to be honest, it was very hard to focus. Part of me just didn't care. I just didn't care. My mind was elsewhere. And that's not, not a shot or anything. My mind wasn't there. It was hard to focus. It really, really was. Links595 says Brodie Lee forever TNT champion. And Nero Borgata 26 says completely lost it when Brody Jr. put his father's boots in the center of the ring. Yeah, I agree. Anthony E says, I agree ratings isn't the focus tonight, but AEW deserves as much exposure as possible after tonight. And Seb R says, Jericho's dog story was so touching. Animals are the best judges of character. Yeah, I liked it because it was a very personal story to him. And I did think that Jericho added a lot tonight to commentary. I think he added a nice lightness to commentary. So I do think that he did a good job at that. Also, I want to welcome Benoit WC. for coming on and becoming a new YouTube member. Thank you so much for joining the F4W online community. I really appreciate it. And Travis Eagle says, the tribute video is Chef's Kiss. Tony Khan tweeted that he bought the rights to the song used in order for the video to be forever. I like that everybody saw that tweet, except me, because I'm on here streaming. So I'm not on Twitter seeing the tweets right now, so I don't know what the latest news is. And okay, here we go. We have a comment from George Gonzalez, who got my attention with please read. Says, it was nice to see WWE wrestlers retweeting to people to watch the AEW Tribute show. No doubt he was loved by the wrestling talent worldwide. Like I said, all these little petty feuds, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this was something that was a bigger deal. And it just goes to show what impact he made on the wrestling world and everybody in it, whether it's a fan, whether it's people in the industry, it doesn't matter. Like, he really made so much. Definitely Not the Imposter says, Denise, after you telling me about there being an remembrance of Brodie Lee t-shirt available for purchase, I ordered as my way to pay tribute to the great man. Yes, guys, Pro Wrestling Tees, it does have a tribute shirt for Brodie Lee. Go there. It already broke the 24-hour record that Sting had just broken like 30 days prior, and he already broke it. So if you haven't yet, all the funds are going to the Huber family. So if you want to find a way to, just, I don't know, give some love over to the Huber family, I'm sure that would be a really nice touch. And you get to have a Brodie Lee shirt. So that's always a plus. And so that also goes for AEW Shop and Pro Wrestling Tees. I know that if you purchase a Brodie Lee shirt, the funds will be going over to the Huber family. And there's a lot of other people that are doing some other really awesome stuff. Haj Gulashi says, hug to you, Denise, and hug to everyone in the chat who could go for one. Dude, watching the show, I just wanted to go around and just tell people, man, I love you. I love you. I don't even care. Like, if I don't even know you, I don't even care. Like, I just want everybody to like feel good. I just wanted everybody to feel good. And all right, guys, I'm trying to see any other comments here that I want to make sure to read. If I didn't read your comment, guys, and it's something you really want me to read, send it again so that I can see it. A lot of comments come through, and this streaming service isn't always the best to see everything. But we have a comment from Logan Raposo, who says, seeing the entire wrestling community come together and put aside all differences was one of the most beautiful things to honor this great man. Stephen Shaw says, Dolph tweeted that it was the first time he would be watching wrestling since he can remember. The impact John had was massive. Yeah, especially, that with all of the stories that were being told. Also, Dignabox says, everyone should check out AEW's YouTube for more tributes. I saw Matt Hardy and Wardlow's, and they might be my favorites, even though they aren't on the show. So yeah, heads up, guys. If you haven't gone on to AEW's YouTube channel, they do have more tributes on there. By the way, thank you so much for everybody sending in the love. I really appreciate it. So guys, let's go ahead. And so I did mention that I did get to watch NXT for about 20 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes. So I'm just going to really quickly kind of go over some of the highlights of NXT since we kind of already wrapped up AEW Dynamite for today. But just really quickly, reminder that next week is New Year's Smash for AEW Dynamite. And then next week, we're also having New Year's Evil. So a lot of New Year's stuff is going to be happening. Some quick stuff. I did get to watch the opening match on NXT, which was Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Bronson Reed. And I'll just say that it looks like they are really pushing Bronson Reed to do some big stuff in 2021 because this was a short and quick match, but Reed won. He looked very impressive. He won with a splash that looked phenomenal, especially because of his size. So I do think that they're going to be pushing him out for a really good year next year, which I think so too, because I really like Bronson Reed. Then they are doing the NXT Year End Awards, and I caught a few of them. I don't think I caught all of them, but I know that Breakout Star of the Year was Shotzi Blackheart. And then they also had Tag Team of the Year was Undisputed Era, and Female Competitor of the Year was Io Shirai. Male Competitor of the Year went to Adam Cole. Match of the Year was Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn for the NXT title at TakeOver 31. And those were the only ones I caught. So if I missed them, you can blame me because I didn't get to watch all of them. We have a comment from Definitely Not the Imposter. Says, Denise, can I please get a hug? This Dynamite got me. Air hug. Here you go. Air hug to everybody on this stream. If you're watching this video stream, here we go. This is your virtual hug of the evening. All right, other moments. I did get to see a little bit of Breezango versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. Fine match. We did get to see Grizzled Young Veterans pick up a win. Then we had a squash match. Mercedes Martinez versus Aaliyah. Squash match. Mercedes Martinez won. And then in the match that I did like, and even though I thought this match was really good, it started off hot and I enjoyed it. It was Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong. And I'm glad I got to catch this match because Roderick Strong is one of those guys that I just love seeing in singles competition. And Pete Dunne won. And I thought it was a very good victory for Pete Dunne. So I'm glad that I got to catch this match. And then the last segment that I got to see before I didn't get to finish watching the last 40 minutes of NXT, the last thing I did see, there was a in-ring promo between Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. As you know, they do have their match next week as well. And there was a really, really impressive promo by Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly essentially told Finn Balor that he respects Finn Balor, but that next week he's going to leave the respect at home because he wants that NXT championship. Kyle O'Reilly came across as very, very fiery during this promo, so I got pretty excited for their match coming up. After this, though, we were Scarlett Bordeaux and Karrion Kross came out and said, nah, that belt belongs to Karrion Kross. It belongs to us. And Finn, your fate is already sealed. But as Karrion Kross starts saying Doomsday is here, TikTok, we get this creepy visual where all of a sudden Damian Priest pops up right behind him, and then they end up battling each other around the Capitol Wrestling Center. They start with some punches and the stage, and then they work their way to the back. You see them go through the plexiglass, and then you see them bring down the black curtains. They bring that down. So this was pretty cool. I'm really excited for what they're doing with Damian Priest and Karrion Kross because I'm a big fan of Damian Priest, and Karrion Kross I think is just such a big star, and he, you know, obviously since coming back from the surgery, a little of that star power has gone down, but he is starting to get that back up. So I really am excited for Finn, Kyle O'Reilly, and I'm really excited for Damian Priest and Karrion Kross. And then that was it. That was all I got to watch from NXT today, guys. So I don't know anything else that happened on today's show, unfortunately, but I got to watch what I got to watch. Darren LM says, Denise, choose one wrestler from AEW, NXT, WWE, and New Japan and book a fatal four-way. Do the same for women and the same for promotions. Thank you. You're dope. All right. So as fast as I can think, I'm just going to think randomly. AEW, Adam Cole. AEW, Hangman Page. NXT, Adam Cole. Raw or SmackDown, I'll go with Drew McIntyre. New Japan, Will Ospreay. For the women, I will go with, for AEW, I would go with Shida because he's the champion. Let's give her some respect. NXT, I would go with Rhea Ripley because she is a badass. WWE Raw or SmackDown, would go with Sasha Banks because she's on fire. And yeah, there you go. That would be my my quick ones there. Really. Yeah. Tanel says no women in New Japan, so that's a three-way. Exactly. That's why I was like, all right, there you go. We got with the three there. Alrighty, guys, there you go. That is tonight's show. Again, it was not an easy one, but I want to thank you guys so much for coming on here and chatting with me about AEW Dynamite and a little bit about NXT as well. I know today wasn't easy, but I really hope that you guys had as good of a time as you possibly can have in circumstances like this. And sorry, I was laughing because Chris Cage 2X put Adam Cole to AEW confirmed. No, that was an accident. That was my mistake, guys. I was thinking way too fast here. Way too fast. But seriously, guys, thank you so much. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on to the show each and every single week, like you guys always do. I will be back next week for Speak Now Pro Wrestling episode 15. And also, before I go, I do not want to forget to wish everybody a happy new year. We're ringing in 2021 tomorrow. So I hope you guys have an awesome celebration. And I wish you guys nothing but the very, very best for the coming year. And again, I will see you guys. I hate to say it, but I'm going to see you guys next year. Next year is the next time I will see you. Before I go, please do not forget to follow me on Twitter or on Instagram at _ Denise Salcedo. Plus, do not forget to subscribe to F4W Online. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. You will love this channel. And I will see you guys next week. Until next time, I'm Denise Salcedo. And bye, everyone. Take care.